I was thinking about so many things, but looking back, I can't remember one thing. I mean, my heart was just pounding and it was in my stomach, and it's just I felt dizzy and I had tears in my eyes, and everyone was coming up to me, and it was really cool.
Welcome to episode 290 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. The last Albertan to be taken in the top 3 rounds of the MLB Draft was back in 2015 when Calgary's Michael Soroka was taken by Atlanta. Fast forward, and Innisfail's Nathan Flewelling accomplished that feat recently when the Tampa Bay Rays took him with the 94th overall selection. While that was a major storyline coming out of this past draft, the other was that a total of 5 Albertans had their names called during the 3 days. Flewelling, Jack Lyons of Okotoks to Tampa in the 12th round, Cohen Achen of Calgary to Baltimore in the 14th, Owen Pote of Sherwood Park in the 19th to Cincinnati, and St. Albert's Eric Hartman to Atlanta in the 20th. Now, the last time that happened was 2011 when 7 Albertans were taken. The big difference between those 2 years, though, those 7 were taken in 40 rounds, while back in 2019, the draft was reduced to the current 20 rounds. Now, it was a big draft for Canadians as a whole, with 17 being taken, which ties the mark which was set back in 2021. And looking back through the draft archives, it looks like this country is on a really good run, as it rarely reached the teens in the top 20 rounds prior to 2019. It's a testament to the coaching and the infrastructure now available to players looking to take their games to the next level, especially here in Alberta, where it feels like the momentum has shifted. Not only are Alberta-born and raised players getting picked, but Canadians are continuing to come here from coast to coast to learn and play. This week we chat with 5 players drafted, 3 Albertans, 1 Canadian, and American whose career was resurrected playing in our province. We'll start things off with the highest drafted player from Alberta, Nathan Flewelling. His story has become well known in recent weeks as the Red Deer Braves and St. Joseph Baseball Academy product has turned heads everywhere he's gone, from winning the Canadian Future Showcase Home Run Derby to starring with Baseball Canada's junior national team in the Sylvan Lake Gulls to placing third out of over 300 draft-eligible players in exit velocity at the MLB Draft Combine. The 17-year-old quickly rose up the draft rankings, and since the draft, he's received a hero's welcome in Sylvan Lake and around central Alberta. We caught up with him before he headed down to Florida, where he just recently signed a contract worth $774,000. Nathan, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
How much of a whirlwind has the last few days been for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really crazy. Just life-changing, I guess you would say, just kind of the different things that have happened, whether it was just getting drafted or just understanding that I'm going to be moving away from home. So I just think everything has changed. I go to the field now, and it's just like everyone's asking questions, saying congratulations, and I'm super happy for all the support. It's been really cool.
I know you've been doing a bit of a tour around Sylvan Lake, especially. You've thrown out a first pitch. What's it been like being back in that field after all that's transpired over the last few days?
Yeah, I mean, it's super cool to get all the support from the fans and all of that, but I don't like watching. I'd rather be in a jersey. I'd rather be playing, but I guess it's something I just got to do. I think I really love it, and I really love all the guys, and it's such a special group of guys for sure.
Well, speaking of those guys, one in particular got to share the weekend experience or the draft experience with you. Talk a little bit of Owen Pote and him getting drafted by Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's super great. Like, I've been friends with Owen for a really long time, and then to be able to go through a process like this with him has been super cool. And I think it was very relatable because we kind of understand, we had the same feelings towards everything. And I'm just super happy for him. I mean, it was super cool just to hear my name called and then to hear his name called too. And I'm just really proud and happy for him.
Absolutely. Now take us back to, let's say, Saturday, for example. Did you have an idea going in on when you might get your name called?
Yeah, I knew it was somewhere between the 2 and 5 range. I think it was a very slight chance it would happen in the second round, and it didn't. And then on Monday it was just a gong show, just hearing from everybody, and it's just really fast paced, and you just don't know how everything's going to turn out till it does.
When you know that it's going to happen pretty early on, were you glued to your TV or your phone the whole time, trying to figure out who was picking when and where and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of people at the house, and to be honest, I didn't want anything to do with it for a while. Like, I didn't want to think about it. I just wanted to sit downstairs and just snack, and I mean, just chill with everybody. And kind of when it got to time, then I started watching a little bit closer. But I definitely just needed to kind of take my mind off of things for sure.
I know in talking to some guys, the team that drafts him wasn't necessarily the top team on their radar. When it comes to Tampa Bay, what were they even on the list of potential teams?
Yeah, they definitely were, but it was kind of unique because they didn't really watch me play much at all this year. I mean, I think the first time they saw me play was the July 1st game in Lethbridge. I think they were kind of came down for a week, and I happened to have a good week. I played well, and I think just that I think to pick me off of that one week kind of just shows the trust I guess they have in me and the excitement and the eagerness, and which translates to my eagerness to get down there and start working for them.
Absolutely. Take us to that moment when your phone starts ringing and you know what's coming. What's going through your mind?
So much, but like so little at the same time. Like I was thinking about so many things, but I looking back, I can't remember one thing. I mean, my heart was just pounding and it was in my stomach, and it's just I felt dizzy and I had tears in my eyes, and everyone was coming up to me, and it was really cool.
Very cool. This is WCBL All-Star Weekend, and while you're not playing in that game, you've had a lot of success so far this season with the Gulls. What's that program, including head coach Jason Chatwood, meant to you as you get ready to take that next step in your baseball journey?
Yeah, it means a lot, and you don't really understand how much it means to you kind of till you don't have it anymore. I think just the kind of role that it had in my life was so influential, and kind of just the person I became. I mean, hanging out with those guys every day. I've never played on a team that was that tight, and I just think those guys just love each other so much. I think that's the team that's gonna go win it, and I think just the culture that is around there every single day. Everybody wants to get better. Everybody wants to win, and then I think we just enjoy each other's company more than anything. I think Jason has the team picked right, and I think it's run right with all the coaches. I got so many great things to say about all the coaches, and it's such an important part of my life to definitely be able to say that I was a part of that team.
When you look ahead now, what are the next few days, maybe the next couple weeks looking like for you?
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of get all my affairs in order and start the move down to Tampa, and in Port Charlotte is where the spring training place is, and I think it just begins, man. I just the dream is becoming a reality, and I think it's going to be a lot of hard work, but I'm excited to get started.
When you've had those conversations with Tampa Bay, what are their expectations of you? Do you know what you're walking into and what you have to work on as you look ahead to the next few years here?
Not I haven't really had many of those conversations, but I know that everyone that was picked this year is going to be down there, and we're going to meet each other, and then I think it's just really fast paced. Like we're going to start getting after it. I think it'll be fun and it'll be challenging, but I'm really excited to kind of start this next step.
Absolutely. Final question for you, Nathan. I'll let you go here. Do you have any expectations or goals you'd like to accomplish in the next little while here to make sure that you make an impression with the Rays?
I think just carry on what I was doing before. I think it's just be myself and have fun, because when I do that, I seem to play my best, and then I seem to make a good impression on people as well. So I think I'm just not going to try and do too much and just show them Nathan and don't show them anybody else.
Well, you've done a great job of it so far, rocketing up the rankings and getting drafted in the third round, Nathan. Congratulations on that selection. Congrats on taking that next step in your baseball journey. And again, really appreciate you taking the time to join us here.
Yeah, of course, always.
Next up is Calgary's Cohen Achen. We first got to know him back on episode 132 of the podcast, where he shared his story of a crazy comebacker to the face and the subsequent comeback. He visited again back on episode 264 this season as he entered his final year with Lindsey Wilson College. The soon-to-be 23-year-old went to Lakeshore in the Northwoods League this summer and was phenomenal again, earning a pick by the Baltimore Orioles in the 14th round. He too has signed a contract. Cohen, welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me again.
What has the last couple of weeks been like for you?
I mean, they've been pretty crazy. A lot of a lot of messages. My phone's been blowing up, but it's all super super exciting. Obviously, the Orioles, really thankful that they gave me a shot, and I'm ready to get to work for them and do whatever I have to do to make it to the big leagues.
Take us back to draft week, I guess, that Sunday to Tuesday. Did you know you were going to be taken at all during those 3 days?
No, not really. It was kind of everything was up in the air. There was a couple teams interested, but I was just seeing kind of what happened and was sitting on the couch with the parents, and all of a sudden my name popped up on the TV, and away we went.
I was going to ask about the process. Like, are you in chats with an agent? Are you chatting with teams? Are you texting back and forth? What's that process like leading into your name appearing on the TV like it did?
Well, I do have an agent, but it was kind of funny how it worked because he was telling me in the morning that there was, a little bit of interest here and there. And then all of a sudden I didn't get a text, didn't get a call from anyone, and my name just popped up. So it was actually, pretty surprising to me and to my family. But it was like a super cool moment, like nonetheless. But yeah, it was just the way it happened was crazy.
Were the Orioles on your radar?
Yeah, they were one of the teams. It was more of a free agent type of thing originally, and then I guess things changed.
Very cool. So walk us through your mindset when that happens. You said you're on the couch with your parents. Like, what's that moment like as you look at each other and go, is this real?
Yeah, it was like just seeing it pop up with everything, and I looked right at my dad and my mom, and we all shot up off the couch, and obviously, everything that you've ever dreamed of since when I first started playing kind of came true in that moment. So the tears, obviously started rolling for all three of us, even though my dad doesn't want to say he cried. I know he did. But like I said, just one of those moments where, everything that you set out to do from the beginning kind of came true. And it was such a fun moment, just trying to soak it all in.
Absolutely. So you've got your parents there. Who's the first person that you're calling outwards?
I told my sister I'd call her first. So I had to call her, and she ran over to the house. And then obviously my phone probably had 6 or 7 other calls from teammates and old coaches and, stuff like that. So.
Absolutely. So you mentioned the phone thing. How often were you plugging that thing in over the next couple of days because of all the calls and social notifications?
It definitely almost died like 3 or 4 times, but it, again, like just a bunch of supporters and a bunch of, long friends that I'll have that are calling and reaching out. So I don't really, care to plug in my phone. It's, if they want to support me, I'm all for it.
Absolutely. So you managed to, we've seen the social posts now over the last couple of days. You signed the contract. What was that like?
A little shaky going in there, I was like a little nervous. I mean, like anyone, like I said, it's been a dream. So to like actually sign and, make sure everything's correct and I'm ready to get going. It was a lot of fun though. No one says signing a piece of paper is fun, but to me it was. So it was, I liked it. Yeah,
for sure. So where do you go from here?
Just continue with daily work and, just try to do whatever I can to get better. I don't really, there's no plans from here, but just work hard as possible and, set myself up for success.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that success part, do you have any expectations of yourself over the next few months or even the next year to make sure that you keep building and flying up that depth chart, so to speak?
I mean, obviously just, putting in 110% every single day, making sure I'm doing the proper things to stay healthy and, continue doing what I've done throughout college. Obviously with a little bit more support now, a little bit more, technology and other stuff involved. But yeah, like I said, just putting in every single, ounce that I got every single day, trying to be the best player I can be.
Mm-hmm. Last time you and I chatted, you were talking about especially being in Lindsey Wilson and eventually looking at a potential pro career and that kind of thing. You were like, I want to kind of enjoy the moments while I can. Is that a big part of the planning and preparation piece too, heading into this opportunity with the Orioles, is soak in all the moments and enjoy it while it kind of goes along?
Oh, 100%. I've been, caught staring and watching certain people do certain things and just trying to take every moment in. I mean, even like flying in and stuff like that, just, still, to me, I still can't believe it's true, but I'm sure that'll settle in here in a little bit.
Is there anything from an Orioles club perspective that you really look forward to, whether it's specific players, for example, that you might get to rub shoulders with, or just the history of the team? Is there anything in particular that really kind of makes you go, man, I can't believe I get to be a part of this organization?
Just a really, really good group of guys. A lot of young stars that have come up recently. So I'm really excited just to see, the process that they went through to get there too. Just like I said, putting in the work. I mean, everyone on the staff that I've met so far is really nice, and they seem like they, got a really good head on their shoulders and know exactly what they want out of us. So I'm super, super pumped to get going with this group.
Do you know what they want out of you?
No, not yet. But I'm sure again it's just every ounce of effort that I can put in.
Absolutely. Final question for you here, Cohen. We'll let you get back to the grind. What's it mean to be an Albertan taken in the MLB draft?
Yeah, a little crazy. I think there was 5 of us, if I'm not wrong, this year. So just an honor to be a part of that group. I'm sure the other 4 guys put in the exact same type of work that I've put in, and we all deserve it, and we're all probably doing it for the province. So it's just like I said, it's an honor to be a part of that group.
Well, it's an honor to have you back on here on the show so soon, and in such good news form as well, Cohen. Congrats on being selected. Congrats on all the success you had at Lindsey Wilson. Continued success in the Orioles organization, and thanks again so much for joining us so soon.
Thank you very much.
The third Albertan we were able to track down was Owen Pote, the son of Okotoks Dogs head coach and former MLBer Lou Pote. The 18-year-old has wanted to blaze his own trail, heading to AHP Academy and sticking around Sherwood Park growing up. This summer, he's been fantastic with Sylvan Lake, going 3-0 with a 2.92 ERA in 9 games. The episode 284 guest was taken in the 19th round by the Cincinnati Reds and intends to head to Barton College in the fall while staying in touch with the team that drafted him. Owen, thanks so much for joining us here on the show again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm curious, what's the last couple of weeks been like for you?
It's really been really busy, just long, a lot of phone calls, but it's just been a real excitement trying to really soak it all in and experience it and just have fun. It's supposed to be fun, so just really enjoying every moment.
Absolutely. So take us back to that draft 3 days, that Sunday to Tuesday. Did you know that you were potentially on the radar to get selected?
Yeah, so the first day I didn't hear anything. I just kind of accepted it that it probably wasn't going to happen. And then the second day I woke up to probably 10 missed calls, couple missed texts, people asking where I was, and then I texted my agent. He was giving me an update and was like, "Hey, there's a couple teams in play." And then throughout that day, I kind of just talked to them briefly and my agent about what possibilities are up in the air. And then day 3, just got that one call from my agent, and he was just like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was like, "No, just thinking, just sitting in the car." And he was like, "Well, you put that Reds hat on, so they drafted you." And I was like, "Oh my!" I lost my mind. It was pretty crazy. So, yeah.
I can only imagine. So, were the Reds a team that you knew were interested from the get?
They were probably the team that talked to me the least. They only texted me probably once or twice leading up to the draft process. But it did kind of surprise me. But I'm grateful for it. It's always been my dream. So. It doesn't really matter to me where I go. It's just a matter of actually getting drafted, and that's the biggest accomplishment.
So take us back into that car conversation for a second. And what goes through your mind when you see that phone ringing and you know that something's about to possibly happen here?
You kind of just, for me, it was kind of just don't get your hopes up. If you get disappointed, it can always happen again, hopefully. And then once you pick up that phone and hear what I have to say, it's just life changing. You just become the happiest person in the world. So,
yeah, absolutely. So, who was the first person you called?
I called my dad right after I got off the phone. He kind of went silent, and then he was just he was just like, I'm so happy. He just said he was happy for me and how proud he was, and that was really cool. And then we hung up, and I called my mom right after. So they're both pretty happy for me, and it was really special moments with them.
How often were you having to plug your phone in because of all the calls and the social media notifications and that kind of thing? Because I can only imagine that thing had to have been going gangbusters.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, I kept it plugged in pretty often, but yeah, I was definitely very, very busy when it came to calls, texts. It was a lot for sure.
Now, the one viral moment that you had, as it turned out that night, you were playing your dad's team against Okotoks, and there's a pretty famous video of you guys getting to chat and hug and that kind of thing. I know that it's a personal moment, but I did talk to your dad about it a little bit during the WCBL broadcast there for the All-Star game. On a personal note, a pretty big week in the Pote household. How cool was it to see Owen's name pop up on that draft board on Tuesday?
It was awesome, man. I kind of went through a little bit different times. I got a telegram when I got drafted, but we were on the bus to Sylvan. I'd been talking to him a couple times during the day, and then he called me and said that the Reds were going to take him with the next pick, and they were about 5 picks away. We were watching our phones, and then the last thing I remember is his name popped up, and then Andy Peterson and Joe were like, "Oh, Paul, Skip's son just got drafted." So the bus, everybody come up and congratulate me. So, and then to be able to walk on the field, that was awesome.
I was going to ask about that video of you and him embracing. That thing's gone viral. Walk us through what's going on in your mind as you're having that conversation and then that embrace.
Well, we were about 40 minutes out, and I'll say it felt like we were driving to Fort Mac because I just couldn't wait to get there. And you can only say so many things on the phone, and to be able to share it with them, that was. And then, Andy and Joe got it on video, so it's pretty cool, man. I'm getting choked up talking about it right now.
Take us inside that conversation for a second, and what was sort of the tenor of it? What were you guys kind of chatting about there?
Yeah, he just first thing he said, it was like, he was like, look at that, you said it would happen, and then he just kind of hugged me, and then he said he was so proud of me and everything. We kind of teared up together, but it was a pretty special moment for sure. It's definitely my favorite memory I've ever had on the baseball field for sure.
It's amazing how baseball can be that way. Is that the life-changing moment doesn't necessarily have to be from inning 1 or inning 9 or anything in between. It's sometimes outside. So that is very cool. So where do you go from here now, Owen?
Right now I'm just finishing out the season with the Sylvan Lake Gulls, and then I'll be heading down to Albertan Community College, and then hopefully getting another contract offer from the Reds next year.
You mentioned the Gulls situation, and I know that you've been the special guest during games. You've thrown out a first pitch with Nathan. Like, what's it been like being kind of the hometown hero in Sylvan Lake and them celebrating you, but also being able to do it with Flew?
I don't know if I call myself a hometown hero. That's more Flu's area, but it's just really special to see the community, the support everybody's given me and Flew. It's been really special and awesome. But it's just awesome to see how this community can come together especially for someone like Flew who's grown up around here and has lived here his entire life. It's super awesome to see how they can support him through everything he's going through.
Take us into the dugout with Nathan Flewelling. What makes him so special in your eyes as someone who gets to see him, 50 some odd feet away, 60 some odd feet away as with the pitcher catcher relationship?
Yeah, I mean, Flew's one of the best guys I know. He's really good at finding the ability to keep the game fun and loose. He's always running around the dugout, joking, screaming, laughing, making noise, being silly. But he's truly one of the best hitters I've seen with my eyes. He can really spray the ball to every part of the field with power, and he's very good defensively. He's got a cannon behind the plate, and he's a brick wall back there. So he's truly a truly gifted athlete, and I think this is only the beginning of something much bigger for him.
Very cool. A couple more for you before we let you go here. Do you have any expectations of yourself or goals that you've set out in the next few months or maybe the next year to make sure that you keep yourself on that radar and keep flying up the depth chart with Cincinnati?
I think just keeping up to what I'm doing and just, making sure I'm staying in the gym, getting better every single day, getting a little bigger, just keeping doing what I'm doing, improving my mechanics, getting better every single day. Just a little bit is something that will really help me and just keep me on the same path that I'm going on.
Absolutely. The final one we've asked all of you guys so far that happen to be from this province. What's it mean to you to be an Albertan taken in the MLB draft?
I mean, it's a huge honor. I mean, I like to wear that Canadian sleeve with a lot of honor and pride. But I mean, the Alberta in me is just, it shines just as bright. So I think that's a huge honor, and I'm very proud to say that I'm Albertan that's been drafted. So yeah.
Very cool. Well, Owen, really appreciate the time. Congrats on the selection. Congrats on all the success again at this point. Continued success as you go about your baseball journey, and looking forward to keeping tabs on you. And thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
As mentioned, Alberta has become a destination for players from across the country to come further their baseball careers. Kentville, Nova Scotia's Micah McDowell is among those who believed he could get to the next level when he headed to Dogs Academy in Okotoks. The outfielder became a standout at Oregon State, even becoming the roommate of this year's #1 pick, Travis Bazzana. A member of the 2019 and 2022 WCBL champion Okotoks Dogs, McDowell was actually hoping to hear his name get called last year. When that didn't happen, he stepped it up a notch with the Beavers, catching the attention of the Miami Marlins, where they took him in the 17th round. Micah, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, let's start here. 17th round, 514th overall to the Miami Marlins. How does it feel now that we're a couple of days removed?
It feels good. Still feels pretty surreal. Just got down here, so kind of getting my feet wet and meeting some of the guys. But yeah, super cool and just grateful for the opportunity to be a part of this organization.
Walk us through the process and how you found out first off, because you knew your name was going to be on the docket at some point down the line, but walk us through sort of the trials and tribulations of those 3 days.
Yeah, so I was actually, I think it was day 3 of the draft. Trav hit me up in the morning to go hit with him in the cages because he just went first overall a couple of days ago, so he was trying to get some hacks in before he left. And so we were hitting in the morning and the draft was going, and I kind of had it pulled up on my phone, like the draft tracker, and was keeping talks with my agent. And then as it got like later and later on, like I was like losing hope a little bit, and then, kind of just holding on, keeping my phone close just in case. And then ended up getting a call not that much later, just saying congratulations, like, you're going to be a Florida Marlin, or Miami Marlin, sorry. So, yeah, it's just super stoked and surreal moment that kind of just made me look back on everything I went to get to this point, and yeah, just grateful for it all.
I was going to ask about that. What goes through your mind in that moment? Like, even as your phone is ringing, you know what's coming, kind of, I assume. So what's running through your mind as you're about to hit accept call?
Yeah, I was just hoping it was going to be exactly what it was, and not, an update on we're hoping this team's going to take you or whatever. But yeah, as soon as I heard those words out of his mouth, I kind of just blacked out and gave Trav a hug and gave some of the guys around me a hug. But yeah, just super grateful and super pumped in that moment.
Did you know that Miami was interested?
I did not, no. They had texted me in the morning that day, just asking about my eligibility and some stuff. And they actually got my number from one of my teammates, Aiden May, who went earlier to the Marlins. So, yeah, it was cool how it ended up working that way, but I had no contact with them before that.
Very cool. You mentioned the fact that Travis Bazzano went first overall. He's your roommate. I mean, there's a lot of connections to Oregon State. How cool has it been to be able to see so many of your teammates go and to be a part of this group this time around?
Yeah, super cool. I mean, we had a talented team, man, and there was a lot of hype going into the season, and we didn't reach our ultimate goal of going to Omaha and win a national championship, but just the numbers in that group, offensively and pitching wise, was super cool to be a part of and break, those team records that hadn't been broken for years. But yeah, just playing with a bunch of great players that pushed me every day, and one of them being my roommate who went 1-1, which is crazy that I'm that close to him and that he's a good resource and friend of mine. But yeah, just great culture at Oregon State and just a great team this year.
You mentioned the past a little bit. I wanted to talk just briefly about that. As you're looking back on that moment, think back to, I mean, you're obviously an Okotoks Dogs Academy guy, but you also spent time with the college team. This is the WCBL All-Star Game. You were part of that back in 2022. What's this program in Okotoks and the WCBL meant to you in your journey?
Oh, they've been everything. I mean, it's truly my second home in Okotoks. When I was struggling early on at Oregon State, I was kind of almost giving up on my career and not knowing what was next, and had contacts in Okotoks with Tyler Hawk and all those guys down there, and they said, hey, come back, come play the summer in the Wickpool and see how it goes, and let's try and fix things. So just working with them all summer and regaining some of that confidence that I'd lost with early struggles that everyone goes through at the Division I level. But yeah, I think that really turned around my career and set me on the right path towards these past couple of years and now this moment.
So now what's next? Where are you going? I asked you earlier on off record, but I said, where in the world is Micah McDowell? But what's sort of the game plan over the next few days and few months here?
Yeah, so I flew out not even a day or two after I got the call and been down here in West Palm for a bit. We're just going through medicals and MRIs and all that, and then signing days tomorrow. And we actually head to the big league stadium to watch I think a game tomorrow night and Sunday night. So yeah, they got a cool week planned for us with lots of stuff going on, and then hopefully hop right into some workouts and get playing some games.
Absolutely. Final one for you. What do you expect out of yourself here? Do you have any expectations now that you've reached that next step in your baseball journey?
Mm-hmm. I just expect, to go out there every day and trust my process and what's gotten me to this point. I've been through the struggle, so I know what to lean back on if things go hard, and I know it's going to be a hard task ahead, but at the same time, I'm confident in my work and confident in the plan that I have going forward in the off season. Planning on going to Driveline in Seattle with Travis over the off season. So, got a good plan set in place, and just going to let the process and the work show on the field and just give my all for this organization every day.
Sounds fantastic. Well, Micah, again, congratulations on the selection. Congratulations on taking that next step in your baseball journey. Looking forward to continuing watching your development and growth. And again, thanks so much for joining us here.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
And finally, we first got to know Eric Rataczak on episode 232 of the podcast during the 2023 WCBL season. He told us a story about he was playing at a small college and didn't really know how his baseball journey was going to end. As it turned out, it was just the beginning, as he was a star with Brooks Bombers, was named the WCBL's Rookie of the Year, and earned a spot with Niagara University, where he earned second-team All-Region honors, and just a week before the draft, he committed to the University of Tennessee. Instead, the Marlins took him in the 16th round, and he put pen to paper officially on Sunday. Eric, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yes, sir. Happy to be here.
16th round, 484th overall to the Miami Marlins. I keep wanting to call them the Florida Marlins. I'm aging myself a little bit. But how does it feel now that you've had a couple of days to soak it all in?
Dude, I mean, I don't even know if you could say any of it's been soaked in yet. It moves real fast once things get going. So, I haven't even seen the field down here yet. So I think it'll feel a lot more real and concrete once I actually get a bat in my hands, and play some baseball. But for now, it's just taking it one day at a time.
Absolutely. So take us back to, Sunday through Tuesday and the process that you're going through. Are you keeping an eye on the draft the entire time, or are you getting phone calls constantly? Like, walk us through the process over those 3 days.
Yeah, for sure. So based on what the conversations I'd had with teams leading up to the draft and what I'd heard from my advisor, obviously day one was not a factor. I mean, with my route and my situation, like and my age, more importantly than anything, rounds 1 and 2 off the table. So I was clear to just, I was driving home at the time from West Virginia back to Minnesota. So day one was just, ride it out, driving home. And then that drive carried over into day 2 on Monday. And that's when there was, reports of interest, anywhere from later day 2 into day 3. So there was a little bit of, I guess you'd call it like nibbles or whatever on day 2 near the end, but nothing firm ever came up. And the whole time you're just kind of staying in contact with your advisor, with their agency and everything, and so nothing came up then. And then day 3 comes around, and between day 2 and day 3, we're kind of going over the prospects and whatnot. He's like, it looks pretty good for you tomorrow. Talking dollar numbers and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I feel pretty good about it based on what I've heard from these few teams. And so our day 3 starts, and first few rounds go by and don't hear a peep. And I'm like, well, would have been nice to go earlier, because it just saves some nerves, but then when it comes, it all moves fast, man. I get the call from my advisor. He says, the Marlins are in on you for this contract, and it's like that, just want to make sure that we're green on that. I was like, yeah, good to go, let's do it. And then he sends me a text a little bit later, and he says, you're going this round. And then it pops up. So I mean, there's definitely situations where teams will say that, and then they'll pick somebody else or whatever, because they're not obligated or anything. But so it's not sealed until your name's actually out there. So seeing that come up was pretty cool. And then ever since, I mean, that was what, 3 days ago. So they get you down here right away, and you're off and running.
Absolutely. So when you get that text or that confirmation that, hey, it's happening 16th round, what goes through your head?
Dude, I mean, a lot of things. One thing, for me personally, I still had a year of eligibility left, of college eligibility. And so with the current landscape of college baseball and everything, and I was committed to Tennessee, and the current landscape in terms of the growing support for the game at that level, and the developmental and honestly monetary incentives with NIL and everything, like that holistic package of college baseball has really elevated itself. So the decision wasn't as easy as everyone might think. It's hardest decision of my life by far. I actually drove out up to my grandparents' house, where no one's living at right now, during day 3 of the draft, because I had a pretty good idea there was a hard choice coming. And I love my parents, I love my family and everything, man, but I was so stressed out, and they they don't know a ton about it. So like they know a good amount about it. They've done a good job staying in the loop and educating themselves and whatnot, but I just kind of needed some space to help make that decision. And yeah, man, like when the pressure's on, it's on. They call you and it's yes or no. And so, all you can hope to do in that situation, when you're blessed to have 2 good choices like that, is just make one and go with it.
Absolutely. So now that you've made the choice, what's next for you? What's on the game plan over the next couple of days or next couple of weeks?
Yeah. Next couple of weeks, your guess is as good as mine, man. I don't know. Next couple of days, I can tell you that we're in right around Jupiter right now by the Marlins complex down in Florida, and we will be going tomorrow at some point. I think we got to take care of a couple more medical stuff, blood work and whatnot, and then we'll head down to Miami for the game there tomorrow. Get to see the field, you know, from a player's perspective, and get to meet some of the guys, and watch the game then, and stay the night down there. And I think we actually go to the game the next day too. I'm not sure on that. But then from there, man, that's the itinerary that they gave us. That's where it ends. So I've kind of been asking around as I've gotten down here if anyone has any idea what their assignments are going to look like. Nobody's got a clue yet. So we'll see, you know.
Absolutely. Obviously, we're broadcasting here at the WCBL All-Star Game, and you were here last year, home run derby participant, got to take part.
Yes, sir.
Well, looking back on the last year, talk about what that league has meant to you and your development as a ball player, but also the whirlwind that has been the last year or so.
Yeah. So for context, before playing in the WCBL, the season that I had come off of during the school that year was a club season. I was at the University of San Diego. I wasn't affiliated with their NCAA baseball team in any way, and was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to come up and play for Brooks based on some of my past baseball history. And it worked out really well. I was able to have a really successful year. Enjoyed all the teammates. I enjoyed that league a lot. It's summer ball, you know, so there's a grind aspect to it. But overall, it was a really successful year, and without it, you know, my career is not where it is right now, because that's what led to getting the opportunity to play at Niagara during this season, which is what led to this opportunity. And so it's really helped revitalize my career. Forever grateful to it for that.
We've been really grateful to have the opportunity to chat with you as well. One final question here as you look ahead to the future. Have you set out any goals or expectations of yourself heading into the next few months or couple of years here as you move your way up the system?
It's a good question. I haven't. I guess if you want to call it a goal or expectation, I think I've learned plenty of times over the course of my baseball career that the only way you're going to be as successful as you want to be is if you just take it one day at a time, and more than that, one pitch at a time. Which sounds cliche, but like when the people who know what I'm talking about, they know what I'm talking about, you know, like it's the only way you can do it. So I haven't really set anything long term. Just know that if I do as much as I can with what I'm given on any given day, that eventually it's going to turn into the best possible outcome. And that's all you can ask for.
Absolutely. We wish you nothing but the best. Looking forward to continuing
Thanks.
watching your growth in the game, Eric. Really appreciate the time again. Congrats on the selection. Congrats on all the success to this point, and looking forward to watching you grow. Thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thanks. No problem.
Thanks again to Nathan Flewelling, Cohen Achen, Owen Pote, Micah McDowell, and Eric Rataczak for joining us this week. And thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. We'll be aiming to get both Jack Lyons and Eric Hartman on the show in later episodes as well. For anyone who knows, getting drafted becomes a bit of a whirlwind, so we appreciate everyone being game to carve out a few minutes out of their frenetic schedules. We're also looking to get back to our regular Thursday schedule for the podcast this week, as we have a few interviews from Ian's trip to Saskatchewan still to bring you, plus a ton of news and notes from around baseball in Alberta over the last few weeks, including the first few players named to the Canadian Future Showcase, plus a handful of Albertans are part of the Baseball Canada women's national team, which is taking part in the Baseball World Cup in Thunder Bay. We'll keep you posted on that and so much more later on this week. As always, a tip of the cap to our platinum supporters, the Okotoks Dogs, Under Light Sports and Entertainment, and the Western Canadian Baseball League for all they do for us and for baseball in Alberta. For more on our incredible teammates, head to albertadugoutstories.com/supporters. Until next time, thank you for all of your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.